Hi, Nick, and hi, everybody. We are here live in One Campus Marcia's Park for the Michigan Chronicles Pancakes and Politics, and our speaker today is going to be Governor Gretchen Whitmer. So as you can imagine, the room is filled with people right now. We have a lot of executives from various industries that are here preparing to hear what the governor has to say now in her final months in office. And before we get started, which will happen in just a few minutes, we do want to talk to a couple folks that I found here in the crowd. We have Jared Fleischer here, CEO of Bedrock, joining me. Good morning.
Great to be here.
You're the one on the hot seat this morning.
Yes. Well, you're putting me there.
Yeah, some tough questions.
What do you got?
Well, you know what? It's just a fun time right now in the city. We've been watching this growth and development over the last several years with Bedrock. What's next?
What's next, we hope, is the riverfront. We have one of the greatest international riverfronts in the world. We don't have any development on it. Imagine if that is the best entertainment district in the country, like Navy Pier in Chicago. Entertainment destination, bars, restaurants, housing, public space. That's what's next.
It all sounds so great. I'm born in Detroit, so I have navigated the Ren-Sen for many years. It's confusing. There's lots of concrete, but a lot of people love the skyline, and that part of it isn't going to change.
That part of it isn't going to change. So if we're going to redevelop the whole riverfront, there's 30 acres there of empty surface parking lots. We have to solve for the Renaissance Center. You can't have a great riverfront, dying Renaissance Center. The Renaissance Center is obsolete. It's a rat maze, as you said. We're going to get rid of all those features that make it impossible to navigate, open it up, keep the 3 towers so we keep the skyline, but apartments in it, redo the hotel, great public space. It's going to be special.
So how long will all this take, and what still needs to be done to make it happen?
Well, we have the governor speaking here. We need a little bit of help from the state of Michigan because we'll never make a penny on this project. It is so expensive and complicated to redo the Renaissance Center. It's 5.5 million square feet. Think about somebody's home with 3,000 square feet. This is 5.5 million square feet. We can't do it alone. There's so much infrastructure. We need the state to be a little bit of a partner, a smart partner, where that area is generating no revenue now. We redevelop it, generates all this new revenue, help rebate a little bit back into that to deal with the brownfield conditions so that we can achieve this great outcome for everybody.
It honestly is extremely exciting. I mean, many of us have been to Chicago. We've seen Navy Pier. We see what it could be. Back up for me a little bit, like the vision to even do this at all. How long has this been in the making?
Well, it takes Dan Gilbert to have a vision like that, to see the Renaissance Center and to see emptiness and to see greatness. So I give all the credit to him. We've been working on it for years. We've been working on this specific vision for years, and it really is time to go. Dan's willing to invest $1 billion into this for no return. General Motors is willing to invest $250 million for no return. This brownfield program, there's other $100 million, billion-dollar investments hinging on it. As a state, we can't be dysfunctional and not be a partner for growth.
So what are you hoping the governor will deliver to make this happen?
The brownfield program, which is it's been around since 2017. And the last time it passed with 91 votes in the House. There's 110 people in the House, overwhelmingly popular program. It's just expired. We just need to get it renewed. But our Lansing's a little bit dysfunctional, but we need from the governor. And I think she's going to do this. She's the most popular political figure in the state, 60-70% approval rating. She's not a lame duck. She is the woman. She needs to run through the finish line. I think she intends to, and do things on education, do things on the economy. With her leadership and with this being a great program with so much at stake, we're going to make big things happen in the next 8 months before she goes.
So awesome. So beyond the riverfront, are some other major projects in the works or just completed?
We're going to keep you guessing, but I will tell you this. The riverfront is massive. It's a 10-year program, giant. But we have other sites that we have big plans for as well. We have other historic buildings that we want to give a new future to. We're not slowing down, but the riverfront is the biggest, and it's the Ren-Sen's the linchpin to a 10, 15-year redevelopment of the whole riverfront.
Well, Jared, appreciate you joining me, and hopefully we will hear everything that we need to.
And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Get some pancakes in.
I plan to. Part of the reason we're here, of course, it's the pancakes and also the politics. And before we get to Governor Whitmer and also our moderator, Dennis Archer Jr. here at the Michigan Chronicle Pancakes and Politics, I'm going to grab one more person from the crowd, and that is Trisha Keefe, CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. So I'll have her on the other side of this quick break. at downtown Detroit and Campus Martius for the Pancakes and Politics presented by the Michigan Chronicle. We just got an update. We do have the speaker today is Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She's going to be taking the stage with the moderator, Dennis Archer Jr., in about 10 minutes. So you can see the room is completely filled here. They're going to be speaking about everything as we lead up to the final months of Governor Whitmer being in office. So a lot of anxious anticipation in terms of what she's working on before her final days here. And we also want to talk to some of the folks that are here. We have CEOs from a lot of different industries, including Tricia Keith, CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, to chat a little bit. I guess first off, what are you looking forward to hearing from the governor today?
Well, it's always an honor to get to come and see the governor and hear what she has to say. You know, she talked about affordability in her State of the State message, and we've been talking a lot about that at Blue Cross and the real impact that affordability is having on families when they're trying to pay their bills, paying for health insurance. And we're trying to bring those solutions here too. And so we're hoping that she talks about that.
And can you just elaborate a little bit more on what you're working on in terms of affordability for your clients?
Happy to. Well, as I said, we recognize the real affordability concerns that our members have. And so we've been spending a lot of time over the last year and a half talking about affordability and the costs that work in the stream that go into health insurance premiums. And so when we've seen things like hospital prices that have gone up 250% since 2000, drug prices, the average price of a new drug that came to market last year was over $300,000. All of those things impact pricing. And so we're trying to talk about solutions in the pharmaceutical industry, in working with hospitals to create value-based care where we're paying for actual outcomes that benefit patients and creating all of those opportunities. And then frankly, looking inside at Blue Cross to understand that we need to be administratively efficient too. And we're working on all those things to solve the affordability crisis.
Well, you've got a lot on your plate. How long in as CEO at Blue Cross Blue Shield? Has it been a year?
About a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half. So we've had our hands full. There's so much going on, but we recognize like health insurance matters to people. It's having confidence in that card and carrying that, and we're there to cover people.
Can we talk a little bit about preventive healthcare, and some of the things that we want that is not insured? Meaning, like, I was just at an event last night, and it was about longevity and some of the like women's health that's out there, like hormone replacement therapy and different things that still aren't covered by insurance, but are very important to overall health. Is there any work that's being done to try to bridge that gap for clients?
We are constantly reviewing our medical policy to look at the things that should be covered and that are evidence-based medicine. And sometimes people want things that are maybe one step further that aren't as proven yet. And so we're trying to make sure that which we're covering are things that are scientifically and clinically approved.
And I know there's a relationship with Michigan Medicine. What's the latest there?
We have a long-standing relationship with Michigan Medicine. They are important partners, and we're really concerned about their decision to lock out almost 300,000 members from our network effective July 1st. But we're working together. We're at the table every week working to make sure that we can find solutions. But above all, people need to have access, and they need to have affordability to have that access. And when they come out and ask for a 44% increase for the exact same services over the life of the contract, people are not going to be able to afford that. And so we're really proud of the 8 contracts that we got with hospital systems last year. And we're hoping that Michigan Medicine comes to a realization that we want to work with them, but we need affordable solutions as well.
Let's talk about philanthropy. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan has a long history of sponsorship and donor support and grant support for so many causes in the state of Michigan and here in Metro Detroit. Pancakes and Politics, just one of them. But talk about that footprint and why it's so important.
Well, we're deeply proud of the role we play in the state of Michigan, and we call it our social mission. So it is about covering our members, providing access, care, and health. And this is part of it. And when we have the important role that we have in the state of Michigan, we need to show up and support our members. And so supporting events like this, but supporting free clinics. We've given $18 million to federally qualified health centers over the last several years, building healthy schools and communities, all those things. And it's why our employees show up at work every day.
Love that. And big thanks, because I know personally how much you do in the community. Appreciate you joining us, and enjoy the governor. Appreciate you so much. Well, we are getting close, just a few more minutes away from hearing Governor Gretchen Whitmer take the stage with moderator Dennis Archer Jr. here at the Michigan Chronicles Pancakes and Politics. We'll take another quick break and we'll be right back. We are celebrating 90 years of the Michigan Chronicle, recognized 5 times as the best Black newspaper in the country. Founded in 1936 with a mission to serve Detroit and its Black community, the Chronicle has shared stories often untold and brought to light through dedicated reporting and discussions about critical issues. Those decades of focused journalism sparked an idea: pancakes and politics, bringing together leaders of diverse backgrounds to talk about business, politics, and the community. Today's conversation is all about the state of Michigan with Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Our moderator is Dennis Archer Jr., Chairman and CEO of 1642 Ventures. Today's Pancakes and Politics is presented by PNC Bank and in partnership with these platinum sponsors: Bedrock, DTE Energy, and Walker Miller Energy Services. Now, here's the president of Real Times Media News Group, Kathy Nett.
Good morning. And as we say in Detroit, what up, doe? Welcome to the Michigan Chronicle Pancakes and Politics, Season 21, Forum 2. And we have as our special guest today, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Now, we have a lot to get through, so I am going to throw this right to the man of the hour, Mr. Hiram Jackson, I'm president, CEO of Real Times Media.
Kathy, you are whatever you want to be in this company. Please give her another hand. She does an amazing job. Is this mic on? Can everybody hear me? You guys hear me over there? All right. Any first timers here? Is this your first time at Pancakes and Politics? Thank you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. See some hands over there. I want to start by thanking our sponsors. This is an amazing event. It's been going on. For those of you who already know, this is our 21st season. 21st season. Yeah, thank you. And we really value the partnership that we have with our sponsors. It's a true partnership. I want to thank our platinum sponsors, Bedrock, DTE Energy, and Walker Miller Energy Services. Please give them a round of applause. Also want to thank business leaders for Michigan and Delta Dental. They've been tremendously supportive, and just want to say thank you to them as well. We got a great program coming. I'm just going to thank people and sit down. But I want to thank the staff too, especially Lakeisha Burns, Jamel Cotton, and of course, Kathy Nett. Please, this would not be happening as flawlessly as it does without them. And of course, our presenting sponsor, PNC Bank. PNC Bank has been just a tremendous partner for almost a decade now at the presenting level. They've been with us through prior iterations before PNC Bank from the very beginning. and my dear friend, my Highland Park road dog, Michael Bickers. I don't know who's older, me or you, but maybe I can be the big brother one day, then you can be the big brother. But he's been tremendously supportive, and we meet several times throughout the year. He gives me great advice, and I act like I listen to all of it, but I do, and he's been amazing. But I'd like to call up Mr. Bickers, representing our presenting sponsor, PNC Bank.
Good morning, team. How's everyone? Good, good, good. So for those of you who don't know, this is at PNC Grow Up Great Month, the whole month of April. And thousands of our teammates will be out in communities right now. They're volunteering, they're building backpacks, and I think something called a Bug Hotel. And we'll deliver all that to thousands of kids, pre-K kids across the country, across our markets. And we're proud of that. But as you also know, we're very fond of having young adults come join us for Pancakes and Politics. And today, we welcome, if they could stand, the students from Marygrove. So there's a linkage to that, their wonderful principal. There's a linkage to that, and I won't read all of this. On behalf of PNC, I'd like to thank Governor Whitmer for something. Because just like with PNC, everybody matters, everybody counts. Like all of you and the people that you help. And I will tell you from my experience, that is exactly what Governor Whitmer has been about. Everybody matters, everybody counts. So, an example, real quick. There's a young lady from Marygrove, Layla Beatty. Say hi. She wrote a letter to Governor Whitmer. Just so happens. I didn't know that until the principal told me a few minutes ago. Talking about how we can improve safety and the quality of life in our city. And Governor Whitmer wrote her back. As Governor Whitmer, I am committed to fixing the issues that are most important to Michiganders, like lowering the crime rate and improving safety all across our state. I encourage you to remain active and engaged with my administration as we work to build a brighter future for all Michiganders. As a future leader in our state, your voice, Layla, is powerful. I hope you will continue to bring your unique ideas and perspectives to the attention of your elected officials here in Michigan, because your feedback and insight are invaluable. Thank you again for taking the time to write to me. I look forward to working with you as we build bridges to a brighter future in our state. From PNC, thank you, Governor Whitmer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bickers. Next, I'd like to bring up Stephanie Stagel. Stephanie is the Vice President, Chief Revenue Officer, and new General Manager of WDIV Local 4. She's a good friend before this recent appointment. We work very closely together with the local media association. And let me just say, like, somebody came up to me last month and said they didn't know it was live. So if you're supposed to be someplace else, and you don't want somebody to see you this morning, this would be a good time to slide out, because we are live on Local 4 Plus right now at MichiganChronicle.com. So thank you, Stephanie, and we're excited to have you in this position. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, it's so nice to meet all of you. I always like to look at that's AI. That's not actually me. I made that with AI because I didn't have great headshots. This is actually my third day as the general manager of WDIV, and I am so absolutely grateful to hold this position. And day 3, they were like, "Hey, can you speak right before the governor?" And I was like, "Yeah, Totally. Sure. But of course, this is a cause. While it is day 3 with WDIV, I've been with the company Graham Media Group, which is headquartered right here in downtown Detroit. I've been with the company for about 6 years now. And as Hiram mentioned, we met on, we both work with the Local Media Association, which is a nationwide group of local media companies who come together to talk about the importance of local media, because while national media often divides us, local media actually connects us together. And so that's why this partnership with the Michigan Chronicle is so important to us, because our collective community needs us to tell the stories, the inspiring stories, not just the bad stories, but the inspiring stories of things that are going on in the community. We always say, look for the helpers. Look for the helpers when there's things going on, and that's what we do. And so I am very, very honored to take this position as general manager of WDIV, because I know that with our voice, we can make a difference, all of us together in this room. So thank you so much, and thank you for coming today. And yes, we're live. So take care, everybody.
On your mark, ready, get set, go. I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready. Look at the time. Oh no, I gotta go and get it. I was born ready. Hey, check the time, check the score. Oh, we still winning. Yeah, we still lit. Hey, top floor, top C. Yeah, we big business. Woo, yeah, we in the building. For real. It ain't about how you start, but how you finish. Sprinting to the finish line. Ready? Ready? I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready.
Stage from 1642 Ventures, Dennis Archer Jr.
Good morning. I'm glad to see such a full house. I wish I thought that y'all were here to see me. But while we wait on our guests to come on out, while she makes her way to the stage, let me first acknowledge those. If I could have all elected officials stand that are here. I know I saw our county executives are all here. Our Secretary of State is here. Wayne County Sheriff is here somewhere. And if I could give a special shout out to our former chief, James White. I'm not sure where he's sitting, but I saw him here earlier today. Welcome. I'm particularly excited to work with a dear friend of mine, Rhonda Walker, this morning on behalf of WDIV. We've known each other since 9th grade, since we were probably 14 years old. And so I hope she behaves, because I do have some stories that I could share from the stage. Okay. And to Jared Fleischer, who is here, thank you on behalf of Bedrock hosting us in your house. Without any further ado, and no need for any introduction, I'd like to welcome a dear friend, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, to the stage. It's funny, G, because usually I'm the one. Hiram's staff and Ruth's staff are texting me, nervous that I'm going to be here on time. So they were all shocked that they were not waiting on me this morning. So thank you.
Well, we can blame someone's fixing those damn roads. It took me a little longer.
There you go.
It took me a little longer to get here than we planned on.
Let me before we get into the meat of your 2 terms and hopefully some insight into perhaps what's next, let me just say and give my condolences. We've talked, but on the loss of your father. We are both very close. We're very close to yours. I'm very close to my father. We talk about it often. Both of our fathers went to Western Michigan University. Both of our fathers loved the city of Detroit. And it's interesting because as time lapses, as you know, this is going to happen to you too, but as time lapses, people kind of forget. They have recent memories about successes and contributions. And so it's interesting. I mentioned Jared as we sit in this building now, which was originally the CompuWare headquarters, brought downtown by my father, and that kind of gets lost. But you know, even before then, your father brought Blue Cross Blue Shield downtown to Lafayette. And you know, talk about lessons you've learned growing up under such an iconic father, and how you've carried some of those lessons into your career now.
Well, you know, I feel very fortunate. You know, we're getting ready. We're having a celebration of life this weekend. So I've been working on my comments, and of all the public speaking I do, this is, you know, the most important, touching, hardest thing, you know, is to write a eulogy for, you know, I'm not a long speaker, so 5-10 minutes is what I told everyone. But that encapsulates what my dad taught me, what he meant to me, the things that he accomplished. I mean, I was really lucky to land as Dick Whitmer's daughter and Sherry Whitmer's daughter. And they were the best of public service, right? They taught all of us that when you are fortunate, when you're lucky, you've got a responsibility to do something with that, to help other people who aren't as, you know, didn't land as well or didn't get a lot of the benefits that you had just by virtue of the house you grew up in. So it's, you know, I think about all the things I learned from him. But when I was a kid, my mom remarried and we moved to Detroit. I'm sorry, we moved to Grand Rapids. But Dad was working here at Blue Cross. He was hanging out on nights that he wasn't home with us at Opus One with S. Martin Taylor. Yes, you know that to be true. And yes. I think, you know, he did that drive. But back in the late 80s, early 80s, it was unusual for a single dad with 3 kids who lived 3 hours away from his workplace to, you know, stay as involved in their lives as he did. And he did that drive every midweek, every week, every other weekend. Every weekend, bought a house in Grand Rapids, had to borrow money to do that, to be close to his kids. And like, he always put us front and center. And I think those lessons are what drives me in the work that I do every single day. And feel really lucky. You know, I miss him so much, but I had him for 85 years. It was, you know, I'm very fortunate. And, you know, when you grow up with a larger than life father, you know, there's wonderful things that come with it, but it's also, you always want to try to live up to that. Right. And that's a good challenge to have. So lucky.
Good. So let's talk about your 2 terms in the state of Michigan. So I've got, you know, 2 kids, 2 boys. They're still in school. You know, at the end of the semester, I'm always asking them, like, all right, where are the grades? And they're not always forthcoming when they're out. You know, I got to go online and try to find the grades. So we're going to do a rapid fire grading session. You're going to grade yourself. You get a choice, like my oldest does at B school. You want to go pass, fail, or do you want to give yourself a grade for each of these?
I'm not going to do either, Dennis.
Yeah. No. This is going to be fun. We're going to do this. We're going to do this.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Who said you get to set all the rules?
You know? So, making Michigan a place where people want to live, work, and play.
I think A.
I agree.
We've tried really hard to strike the right balance of making sure that we've got a great business environment, but also a place where every person is respected and protected under the law, where every person can see themselves reflected in places of power, where decisions are inclusive and thoughtful, and we haven't kowtowed to the pressure to roll back work that we've done in these places. And I think that's part of why we do see our population starting to grow. We do see investment happening in Michigan. So I feel good about that. When I meet people and they tell me that they've moved here because they see an opportunity or they see investment or it's affordable quality of life, I feel like that's good, and we've helped cultivate that. It didn't all come from state government. It didn't all come from, the last 7 years. There's a lot of work being done all across the state on these fronts, but I feel like we've had collective success on that front.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. Ironically, when I was getting mic'd up, I met a young brother, I don't know, he's in here somewhere, that said that he was recruited to come to Detroit. I think he said he's been here for 4 months to work for Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Oh, wow.
And so it is happening real time.
That's great. Oh, that's for sure.
Navigating a very partisan and dysfunctional government. How are you doing?
Are we talking about state government or federal government?
Well, both. We're just very partisan, and I would not necessarily call us dysfunctional, but it's clearly dysfunction in DC.
Yeah.
But, how would you say, I think that you've done a phenomenal job at navigating in this environment.
Well, I'll take your score then. I appreciate that. No, I think, it's very challenging right now. No shit, Gretchen, right? It's a hard environment. And after the last election, I really had to take a minute, and I turned off all the social media. I turned off the news. I had to check out for a little while for my mental health, to be honest. And then I realized pretty quickly, though, I'm no good if I'm not in it every single day. And I took an oath to the people of Michigan to put the people of Michigan before my feelings, my interests, my political party even. I've got that duty. And so showing up in DC, even with, an administration that I don't see eye to eye on the vast majority of things, to put it lightly, that's my job, and I'm taking it seriously, and it's benefited Michigan. And so I've had to remind myself of that every day.
Yeah, I think that some of the ridicule that you got, visits to DC, pictures with the president, I think were very unfortunate, because anyone knows that any elected official or a leader, a CEO, a manager, you have a fiduciary responsibility to your constituents, notwithstanding personal views. And so I hope that people learn from that. I hope that whoever comes behind you and gets sworn in January will continue in that tradition of putting us first, putting the state first.
I think the people of Michigan see that too, right? I'm still, when you look at ratings and how people are feeling, I think people see that, when I'm at the White House and I'm getting a commitment for Selfridge, which we have a little more work to do to make sure all of that comes to fruition. But when I get that commitment, it's not just, it's something we've been fighting for 10 years, that it's $1 billion impact on our economy in Michigan, that it secures all the other bases that we have and the aerospace and defense work that we've been able to get investment in Michigan. All of that is a part of why showing up matters, and showing up even when you don't want to show up, I think is really important. And, I hope that whomever comes next sees that not just it's the right thing to do, it's the politically smart thing to do too, at the end of the day. I'm always going to get criticism. I think it was really liberating in a sense through the pandemic to know, all right, when I'm standing up and I get death threats, but I'm doing what I think the right thing to do is to keep people safe in a pandemic, that people rewarded that by reelecting me. When I show up and I get ridiculed by people in my own party for being at the White House, for Selfridge. Once you accept the fact that no matter what you do, someone's going to criticize you, it's liberating. You just do the right thing.
Right. It's interesting. You mentioned the death threats. And there are a few of us, Hiram is one, Chris Jackson, who's here, is another, that are really going out of our way to try to recruit younger people to be involved in politics and to choose the life of service. But what do you say what do you personally say to people who have witnessed what you've persevered? Outside of your house with signs, kidnap and death attempts. How do you, in today's society, when your dad and my dad were in their younger years, There was no social media, there was no Instagram, and no ability to have flash mobs to come and meet places. It is so much easier to spread false news, attacks that can be anonymous, both physical and online. What's the selling point to participate in politics, to run for office?
I tell you, when I was running for reelection, I often got the question, why do you want to get reelected? Why do you want to keep doing this? You've survived kidnapping and assassination attempt. You survived incredible, weather events, the polar vortex that was 3 weeks into the job. You've survived demonstrations for racial justice in the wake of George Floyd's murder that we had to navigate. You survived 32 recall attempts. You all weren't counting, but I sure as heck was. 32 recall attempts, a legislature that was suing me, trying to take away my powers at the time when I was trying to keep people safe during the pandemic. Like one thing after another. People said, why do you want to keep doing this? And the answer is very truly, even on the worst day, I feel really lucky to be the governor of Michigan. I know the work that we're doing makes a difference to people, whether it is something as simple but crucial as making a really good appointment to the bench so that we've got representation and good qualified people who are meting out justice every day, or it is making a decision to go for and fund breakfast and lunch for every child in the state of Michigan in our schools. That work makes a difference, and there's nothing that compares to the satisfaction that comes with knowing that in a measure I've been able to really help someone, and that's like the best reward in the world. So, yeah,
please.
And now, all that being said, no person should have to deal with the horror that plays out online every single day. No person should have to say, okay, I accept that this is a part of the deal. If I'm going to be an office holder, I'm going to get threats, or I'm going to get hate, or I'm going to get misinformation. No child at school should have to deal with the ugliness that kids deal with online right now. We've got a lot of work to do as a society in all of these fronts. But you're absolutely right. We need good people to go into public service. If they don't go into it for the pay, they don't go into it because it's, all easy and fun and headlines. We need good people who go into it because they want to do the right thing. They care about their communities and they want to solve problems and put people ahead of their own interests. And I think it's laudable, but we've got to do a better job of making it easier for people to say that's something that I could and want to do.
It's very interesting. That's extraordinarily consistent. I think that you will remember this conversation, but I shared with you a conversation that I had with Mayor Duggan when I was considering perhaps throwing my hat in the ring. And he said, and I share with you what he said, is that don't do it unless one day you wake up in the morning and you feel it in your gut and it's just something that you have to do. He said, don't do it because you don't see anyone else out there that you think can do it as good as you, or don't do it because of external pressures. And I share that with you, and your advice was just the opposite. And you spoke to why you did it, which was when you ran for governor the first time, I did not see anyone who I thought could move the state forward. And because of that, and because I felt that I felt compelled to do it. And I think that's very admirable. And on behalf of us all, I want to thank you for making that decision and for your service.
Oh, thank you.
How do you, you're an attorney or a prosecutor briefly. We're operating first within the state of Michigan under a set of laws that make it difficult to move an equitable agenda forward. Call it affirmative action or just equal access to opportunities. You layer on top of that what we see happening in the White House and coming out of DC. How do you as a leader, and how would you suggest those that come behind you work within the confines of that to ensure that everyone has an equitable opportunity to pursue education, to get a good job, and to chase the American dream in the state of Michigan?
One of the things that I think is really fundamental is recognizing that, potential is universal, but opportunity is not. And it's for a variety of reasons. And we have a duty as leaders, I think, as business leaders, as governmental leaders, to recognize that every person represents a chance for us to do collective greatness. And where we can level barriers that stand between someone and an opportunity, whether it's affording the skills, or it is finding the housing, or it is accessing the health care, or getting the education, it is in all of our interests to level that barrier. And, I think that the conversation around, in the wake of George Floyd's murder, there was so much positive action that was being taken, very publicly, very supported, that we were going to finally address a lot of the historic racial issues that we have been confronting as a nation. And then I think in the last 13, 14 months, what that coincides with, we've seen a very, very punitive view on those efforts. And corporations have gotten quieter. The government at various levels has reversed or gotten quieter as well. And I think that's a moment, it's a reaction to a personality. I hope it's not a fundamental change in direction again, when we were finally, I think, moving in the right direction. In state government, I can tell you, we haven't slowed down. We haven't changed our verbiage. We haven't gotten quiet. We're staying focused on what we can do to address the disparities that have long plagued and undermined our economy, by the way. And so one of the things I am always quick to point out, I do it because I see the human element and the importance of the work. There's an economic impact as well. And we have to talk about that, because while that's not as important to me as the central reason why it's the right thing to do, it's important to others. And maybe it brings other people into the conversation, that it is better for our economy when we level barriers that keep people from realizing their true potential. And I think that's an important part of the conversation with some audiences that probably behooves all of us to raise up as well. But we can't go back and forth on whether or not racial equity and diversity and inclusion are the right thing to do. We've got to continue to do this work, regardless of what the political winds are in DC.
And as usual, we're going to go to questions from the audience shortly. Rhonda is going to be moving around. I'll give you a second to get it together. But so it's interesting going back to school, for me, like the most valuable class I had was typing, because it applied to so many different areas.
Were you good?
I was good. I had a good hustle in college. Everyone would come to my dorm late at night after being out drinking.
You typed
have
their
me
papers?
type their papers. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was a good hustle.
Well, I got thrown out of typing, so I had to take home repair.
If you look at COVID and how COVID affected so many different areas and globally, not just here, but obviously the economy, small business, education, from which we really haven't bounced completely back yet. At least I know related to Detroit area schools. You were very steadfast in your approach, and which I applaud, because you weren't flip-flopping. You're like, this is what I think is best, and so this is what I'm going to do. If you were to contribute to a playbook to every once in 100-year global pandemic, how would you alter that playbook from how you execute it?
Probably a variety of ways. You know, I would reconvene all the experts that I was conferring with, and make sure that to get their input as well. One of the things that when you have a pandemic every 100 years, right? It's hard to prepare, and even when you can learn from the last one, viruses play out differently. We were working off of the 1812 playbook from that was 100, what was it? 1918, thank you. Good Lord. Need another cup of coffee this morning. But the 1918 playbook, and the virus disproportionately killed children in that influenza outbreak. And so a lot of our worst assumptions were that it would disproportionately hurt children. This virus was the opposite. It disproportionately took the lives of older adults, but no one could have known that going in. So we were consulting the smartest people we could find, the University of Michigan, and I was talking with Michigan State, the best epidemiologists and doctors on the planet. I was also talking with my colleagues, Mike DeWine from Ohio, who's getting advised from Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, and Tim Walls, who's getting Mayo Clinic. We're all sharing information and trying to make decisions and bouncing ideas off of one another, and that was really helpful. We also convened a business group. Jerry Anderson chaired it, and it was a number of business leaders in different parts of our economy to make sure that we were taking in what was happening at the workplace and how could we keep people safe and what were going to be the best practices. I was talking to all the typical voices that you would assume that I was talking to. And we still, if you go back now with the information we have now, would we have done some things differently? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I think being nimble, listening to the smartest people, and then making decisions, not going back and forth, mm-hmm. was really very crucial to help navigate all of the unknowns. I also would recommend that they stockpile all sorts of tools, right? We didn't have, Detroit was heating up at the same time, New Orleans, Chicago, and New York City. We all know this because we lived it. You remember that we had to have refrigerated trucks outside of some of our hospitals because there were so many deaths, and there was not a place to take care of the remains. And it was in those moments where we didn't have enough masks, we didn't have gloves for doctors and nurses and respiratory therapists. I mean, it was the lack of stockpiling and lack of national strategy, which was so detrimental for the states that were on the early end of dealing with COVID, and Michigan was, Detroit in particular, was one of those. So those would be some of the things that I would put in the playbook.
Makes sense. I'm going to kick it to Rhonda, but I'm going to ask both of you all the same question. Rhonda, did you root for Michigan?
What I will say is that I had Michigan as the winner on my bracket. So in my family bracket, I came in second. My mother also is a Spartan graduate. She also picked Michigan, and she won our bracket. So it's just business. But congratulations. Congratulations on the big win to all of our Michigan alum in the room. I always say on air, and many people do not believe me, but we are state of Michigan fans when one of our teams makes it. And I really do mean that from the depths of my heart, because I have lifelong friends like you who just say go blue every time I see you. So I say it now and then, and you've probably heard me say it on the air too. You started with expressing your condolences to Governor Whitmer, and I wanted to express the same. And you mentioned something that I actually didn't know, because my father also went to Western Michigan University. Right. He's still living, but he doesn't allow me to say his age. He's like, why do we have to talk numbers? I'm like, you know what, Dad, you're right. But he was in college with Dennis's dad, so our relationship goes beyond even since our birth.
Well, if he was there at the same time Dennis's dad was, he was there with my dad as well. So.
Yes, but again, we don't talk numbers. But my condolences. Of the sea of great people that are here in our audience, only one that I know of has a Super Bowl ring. Lomas Brown here in the audience, if you could please stand. I know you have a burning question. And you might want to remind people how you have that Super Bowl ring, because of course we know it wasn't as your time as a Lion.
Yeah, it was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sorry to say that, but hopefully one day soon I'll have one that says Detroit Lions. So hoping for that. So then it's great seeing you, Governor Richard.
My man.
It's great seeing you. I just wanted to ask you, with everything you've done here in the state of Michigan, the way you've been shining throughout the nation, are you thinking about taking your talents to Washington, D.C.?
That's very direct.
I was just feeling so warm toward you. No, I'm glad to see you. And yes, I do. I agree with you that the Lions are due for a Super Bowl soon. Next question. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I really don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've got 9 months left, and someone asked me the other day, so are you just coasting now that you're at the end? This was the week that we had a tornado that touched down in Southwest Michigan and took the lives of 4 Michiganders. We had a synagogue that was attacked here in Southeast Michigan. And then we had a blizzard in the Upper Peninsula. Those were just the things that I didn't plan to spend my time on that week. And so I'm not going to take my eye off the ball. And I'm sure as a football player, you can appreciate why that's important. We've got a lot of serious things, and I've got a lot that I want to get accomplished between now and the end of this calendar year. We still got to get a budget done. We got a lot of work to do. I'm looking at Senator Camilleri there because we both have lists of things that we want to get accomplished before the end of this year. And then I'm going to take a minute and think about what is next for me. I don't know that I'll put my name on the ballot again. I'm just not sure. But I also am 54 years old. I got a lot of gas in the tank. I care a lot about the state of Michigan. And I'm going to stay active one way or another. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Whitmer.
And I did root for Michigan, even though I too am a Spartan.
Yeah, sometimes
I was waiting for your answer.
You said some of your friends are Wolverines. Some of my favorite children are Wolverines.
Yes. We have Dave Colzer here in the audience, Oakland County Executive. Good to see you. You probably have some burning questions for the governor as well.
I have no hard-hitting questions like Lomas had, in part because I'm a fanboy of the governor. I wouldn't do that. And I'm such an admirer of this governor that I want to ask you, Governor, something that you and I have talked about before. And then I go back and talk to my staff about, and they're sick of me asking about. But one of the many things I admire about the way you've conducted yourself and your administration is the way that you communicate and how you communicate and where you communicate. And my comms team I'm always saying, look at what the governor's doing. Look how she's doing that, because it's really effective. And you and I have talked about the changing landscape in journalism these days, how people get their information. And I think in people like you and I in our roles, it's really important that we get our message out and we meet people where they're at. And I think you and your team have done a tremendous job. And I just thought maybe you could talk a little bit about your thoughts around how you talk to people.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. It's nice to see you, my friend. In the last election, after the election, we went through and did a deep dive in where people are getting their information and how we were spending our time and energy and focus. And there was a real discrepancy in it, frankly. It's in the single digits in terms of people who go to the national news and get their information. It's higher for local news. It's higher for, organizations like the Chronicle or, social media. And so we really revamped how we spend our time, and because that's our most precious resource, right? It's always dwindling, and it is the way that we organize my whole days, my weeks. How do we spend the time and making sure that we're talking to people? So we've done a lot of different things recently. We've done a lot with Black media. We've done a lot with different social media and influencers. Not something that was really in my repertoire 3 years ago, but now it's something that's really become of heightened importance. people are getting their information from such unique places, and often they're not political places. We're not spending time with organizations that are necessarily steeped in policy and politics. Perhaps it is in one area of interest that draws lots of Michiganders, young Michiganders that we're now talking to, but they're getting a dose of politics and policy in it. And I think one example that we used was, first of all, one of my favorite things about this town is you gave me the nickname Big Gretch. It's my favorite nickname ever, okay?
Did that come with the Cartier glasses?
It did not. It's over the gift limit. Maybe someday I'll buy my own buffs, but now at this point I just borrow buffs. But during the budget a few years ago, we decided it was coinciding with the advent of the Barbie movie. And so my team was like, let's get the America Ferrera Barbie and cut her hair to look more like mine. And we'll call her Lil Gretch. And Lil Gretch was going to educate the public on the budget. And, young people aren't really fired up about talking about roads like some of us are. But Lil Gretch in her pink Corvette, Michigan made, by the way, was talking about the roads. And we did this whole kind of bridge between a social media campaign, a current event, the Barbie movie coming out, and then meeting younger people where they're at using TikTok and other social media platforms. And, it really cut through. It got people engaged. It started a conversation about something as inane as a Barbie movie, but really pulling people into a budget conversation and priorities and policy making. And so I just pointed that, my team got some awards based on that, that communications effort, but it was just one really brilliant way, I think, of merging things and pulling people into a conversation who maybe otherwise would have had no interest or no exposure to talking about a state budget. And, people often tell me I'm doing such a great job on social media. I don't even have the passwords, you guys. It is not me. I am the one on the camera, and I will do whatever goofy thing they tell me. And 99 times out of 100, it is fire. One time it will go off the rails and I'll get a lot of criticism for it. It happens. It's always well-intentioned. And I think if you're hitting 99 out of 100, it means you're doing something right. So I have a great team. It is not me. It is my team. They do a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. We have Janice Mitchell from Barton Mallow here with another question. Good to see you.
See you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Governor Whitmer, I just knew that you were liking my comments underneath your posts.
That's me. That is
that was
me.
you. Well, thank you for that. Well, I do have a question as a builder and developer, just kind of thinking about something you recently said, build, baby, build. That statement resonated with me, and I really want to ask, are there any incentives or policy changes coming on the forefront for upcoming developers and builders in the state of Michigan to be able to provide housing, particularly workforce housing, a lot faster and more affordable for our residents?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and thank you for all the work that you're doing. I do want to talk a little bit about data centers too, because I know you guys are building that as well. When we talk about housing, we know that across the country we've got a real housing crisis. It's true in every part of the country as well as every part of the state of Michigan. And we have set some really aggressive goals. I said 75,000 new units last year, and we hit 86,000. So we're not just meeting our goals, we're getting ahead. That being said, we still have a lot to do. The average age of a first-time home buyer right now is 40. The average income for a first-time home buyer right now is $100,000. It is out of reach for most people who bought their first home, at 28, when that's how old I was when I bought my first house. And I think that that tells you why it's so important that we're not just leveraging every dollar we can through the federal tax credit, extending that at the state level, which is what I've proposed doing. That'll help us get more federal dollars in. It'll help us do more faster. That's something that I talked about in my State of the State and that the legislature is working on. In addition to streamlining a lot of the local restrictions that make bog things down or make it slower. There is absolutely a role for local governments, and I have had a lot of conversations with local leadership who have got questions and some concerns, and that's legitimate. We can work through those, but we need to make it easier to move faster. We need to give homeowners more options when it comes to just creating an in-law suite in their house, for instance. Right now, it's just really hard to do, and I think that there are some great ideas and solutions that the legislature is working on now that I am eager to explore. And then I would just want to quickly talk about data centers. Not, maybe something that you were anticipating when you asked the question, but I think it's important to recognize.
That was my next question, actually.
Oh, it was? Okay,
yeah.
Good. I think it's, right now, as we look at what's going on in the world, in computing, in AI, in the devices that every one of us has in our, in our pockets or in our purses, we know that it is going to be important that we are able to meet the needs of an ever-changing economy that currently the United States is leading on, but isn't necessarily going to always be so, and that we are more and more relying on as individuals. Data centers are going to be built. They're going to be built because we are all fueling the need for them every day with our devices. We're all a part of the reason that data centers are going to be built. And an economy that's changing relies on that as well. The only question is, where are they going to be built and how are they going to be built? I say they should be built in a place that makes sure that we protect consumers and ensure that ratepayers still get good rates and have access to the energy that they need, and that we do it in a way that is really smart when it comes to protecting our natural resources, our water, and pays the people that are actually building them a fair, good, quality living wage. That's what we are able to do in the state of Michigan. And that's what one of the first big projects that we're doing is going to prove out. Now, the question is, I understand that there's a lot of concerns and that people are saying, well, we don't want to do them here. If we don't do them here, they'll be done elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be done less smart with lower wages in a way that abuses the natural resources and jacks up energy prices. That's not good for anybody. And so my whole philosophy on this has been, all right, let's be the model. Let's show how it can be done. Let's solve the problem, and let's do it right so that everyone else has to follow. And so I appreciate that Barton Mello has been doing some of this work. There are a lot of different groups that have a lot of organizations here in Michigan. But if we are going to be a place that solves problems and gets all the talent that comes with supercomputing that will follow where data centers are, we've got to make sure that we're doing it here in Michigan.
Thank you. Rhonda, we always say good morning to Reverend Anthony. I saw him sitting over here. So, Rev, good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, Rev. Nice to see you, Rev.
I have two more people that we're going to receive questions from, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Dennis. We have Lynn Song, Ann Arbor Councilwoman, co-founder, along with your husband, Doug, of the Song Foundation. Good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Former council member, recovering council member. Thank you. So, as you know, my parents were refugees who escaped war, prison camps. To find their way here to the U.S. and start over. Michigan welcomed them, and it's here in this state that my family came out of poverty. So my worry is that families who are under similar circumstances and similar as non-citizens are worried about ICE searches. So I'm wondering, what would you tell families as we see children being separated from their parents as they're being held in detention? And what you would do to prepare for surges should they come this summer and fall?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the question, and you have shared your personal story with me, and I am always mindful as we think about people that have risked everything to come to this country and to build a life here, and how important it is that that continues to be the case, and that we make Michigan the destination, right? And that you know that when you are here, you are protected, respected, and have real opportunity. You know, I will say, you know, I've been very mindful about how we navigate this as a state, because I have seen what's happened in other states and how dangerous the situation has gotten for many people in this country. As we navigate, you know, some of the decisions coming out of Washington, D.C., I'm grateful that we've got Dana Nessel, who is on the front line of making sure that we're holding the federal government accountable and that we are living our values here in Michigan. And that we will continue to try to make sure that people who are just simply trying to live their version of the American dream can do that right here in Michigan. And we'll stand in the way of any efforts to abuse power and to victimize people. And that's going to continue to be very important as we navigate the coming months. I am concerned going into the fall that there will be an increased incentive to scare people and to dissuade people. I'm worried about that, not just from our population that has immigrated to the United States, but for everyone, frankly, who could get intimidated as we go to cast ballots. Those are efforts that I think are going to, Michigan will once again be in the national eye, and that we will be a targeted state for a lot of these efforts. And so there's a lot of work that we're doing to get ready for that, to prevent that from happening, and to protect people and answer questions in the process. But there's a lot of work that we're going to need to do together. So I'm grateful for all that you're doing too, Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda?
Yes, we are over here. I've got he's looking at me like, what? You're talking to me? Carlos Cubia, a fellow Spartan, by the way.
Go white.
Also sporting your pin here with Corewell Health. Certainly a conversation that you can have with the governor one-on-one, but now you get to have it wide open for everybody to hear. What's on your mind?
Okay. Well, let's talk healthcare. So anyway, what's up, Dennis? I got to say
06.
06. With the growing access challenges to healthcare in the state of Michigan, especially in our rural and underserved communities, what could or should organizations be doing to kind of make sure that folks have timely access to affordable quality care in Michigan? We know that's a problem with all of the tax on healthcare.
Yeah, that's a massive question for the last question.
We got one more after that.
Okay. You know, first I'll say this, you know, I think that Corewell and so many of our hospital systems across the state, as well as our insurers, you know, we've all been working closely, and it doesn't mean that we're all on the same page on every issue. There's no question that there's lots of debate within the industry, but we've been working hard to protect Michiganders when we see all these cuts coming out of the federal government. We know that they've also been staged so that they didn't all hit at once. And so we're also bracing for additional tight budgets and heavy decisions that we are going to all grapple with. You know, as I think about the whole state of Michigan, you know, I can't, excuse me, not think of our population centers like Southeast Michigan, but I also am thinking a lot about our rural parts of Michigan. You know, in the Upper Peninsula, there's not OBGYN services now. Like, just let that land for a second. It's incredible. The dearth of expertise that Michiganders can access because of all the cuts that have come, because of the policies and I think the petty motives behind some of the policies. And so this is a problem not just for the patient, but first and foremost, that's who we're thinking of. It is a problem for us as a state, as an economy, as employers, as a workforce. I mean, and so the work that we've done to mitigate the impact of the federal cuts on Michigan health systems and patients has been really important, but it's going to have to continue. And so while I am in the midst of working on a budget with the legislature right now, and it's my hope to continue to mitigate that pain. The long term is going to be even more challenging for us, and I think that's why we've got to continue to try to work together to creatively solve these problems. Sometimes using telehealth can help us meet some of those needs, but the actual cost of showing up in the ER continues to drive so much of what our systems are confronting, and why we are going to continue to have to come up with new solutions to this and funding for it, frankly. Yeah, not the most exciting, happy note to end on, but.
Well,
we're gonna be uplifted by Reverend Anthony.
Yes. Who will tell you he's the leader of the largest and best chapter of the NAACP, the Detroit chapter. Good to see you, Reverend Anthony.
I don't have to say that because you just said it. Thank you very much. Good morning again. Let me just say, Governor, I'm glad to hear you say the comments regarding ICE, because we're very concerned about them, particularly as it relates to the neglecting the suppression of the voting and intimidation that might come. The Save the Vote Act is really Stop the Vote Act, and that's what that's about. And also your emphasis on housing, because that is a need. That's why we're trying to build what we're building in the community. But as you make your trip to your next journey, what do you think you would articulate as your greatest accomplishment, and what would you say is your greatest disappointment as you make your way towards your next journey?
That's an interesting question, Rev. I'm not sure how to answer that. I'll just say I hope that, in the years that come, the decisions that we made will have really paid out huge benefits that are undeniable. In the work, you don't get to see the results sometimes because of the lag. We underinvested in education for decades, right? Generations of kids in Michigan got shortchanged because we were underinvesting in their education. We're grappling with a literacy crisis. We've made massive investments over the last 8 years. We have embraced science of reading. We have now doing letters training with all of our teachers. We've limited cell phones in schools. There are lots of pieces that are going to play out to improve outcomes for our kids, but it doesn't happen overnight. And so I would say that is a point of pride as well as a frustration. I would answer your question with one answer, that being both. You don't see the outcome instantly, but I know that these investments pay off. I know that if we stay committed to this strategy, we will be successful. It's happened in Mississippi. It's happened in other states. We have all of the pieces for success here, but we can't just change it every 2 years because we're getting impatient. Mm-hmm. I'm impatient too. I'm a parent. I want the best for my kids and I want it right now. And yet this is a generational change that we are trying to make, and that we are en route now for making. We are already starting to see the benefit. And so I think that's how I'd answer that question. And I hope that the appointments that I've made, one of the things that I was mindful of is that the power of appointment is not something that is immediately obvious to folks when you run for governor. But I know that the appointees that John Engler made during his time were on the bench or were in office for decades, and they changed the landscape of our state. And so coming in, I always knew that was going to be a really important place to get great people, young people, diverse people, so that we would have the longest true impact on policy in Michigan. That will go on long after I am done being governor. And I love and am excited about seeing how that is going to have a big impact on our state for years and decades to come too.
Thank you. So, Governor, we have students here actually sponsored by PNC Bank. And one of the students has a question. And I think this will
I
be
do
the
have
last
Leia,
question from the
who
audience.
took a selfie with me as soon as she walked in. So she is very outgoing, not shy to speak up. So why don't you stand for us? And she is a student at Mary Grove. What's your question for the governor?
So I wanted to ask her about the phone policy bans, like state and the reasoning behind that, if you don't mind. Oh, and I also really love that red on you. It's very tea.
Oh gosh, you know, my first term, I came in and tried to ban flavored vapes, and boy, did I hear a lot from my kids on that one. Not that they vape, but all their friends at school were not happy with my policy choices. I appreciate the question, and you know, we have seen that this your generation is so inundated with so many messages coming on your phones that it's really had a toll on your mental health, on ability to focus, on distraction, on, you know, I did an event yesterday with a group called Her Campus, and they're focused on holding social media companies accountable for the product, for the non-consensual information that is being disseminated. And I worry about the ability for young people to focus in the classroom while they're there. It's so important that while you're in school that you don't have all those distractions. As a parent, I love being able to connect with my kids like that. So I understand that stress that parents have and that maybe students have as well about the not being connected for a little while you're in class. But what we have seen in the studies is that when the classrooms are out of, or when the phones are out of the classrooms, kids are actually talking to one another more. More books are getting checked out of libraries. Scores are starting to improve, and mental health reports are more positive. And so there have been a lot of wonderful upsides to policies like the one that I just signed into law here in Michigan. And that's really the goal, is to help support you and your generation to get the kind of education that you need and deserve, but also to take a lot of those distractions and negative aspects of social media out of your life, at least for those hours that you're in the classroom too. So that's the goal. What do you think? All right, she gave me a thumbs up. Yes.
Oh, yes. I think that's very effective. Like the interactions, because I know like when people in the classrooms, like when you have your phone, it's less interaction. So like improving that is really good. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know, when you go to a restaurant and you see like a couple sitting there and they're both on their phones, I think, you know, like, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm not perfect. Like I spend more time on it than I wish that I did as well. I've taken social media off of my phone, but I think it's really, it kind of tells you that we're missing that opportunity to get to know each other and to work together. And one of the things I hear from employers a lot about, you know, younger workforce is so many employers have said, I just want someone who can look me in the eye. I just want someone who can talk to me and work with their colleagues. And I think that too is a skill that will be strengthened if we get the phones out of the classroom too. And that'll help your generation as well. So thank you for giving me the thumbs up.
Thank you.
What's it like asking questions to the governor of Michigan?
It's kind of like scary. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just have to remember, like, she's still a human too. So, I also wanted.
You did a
to
great
shout out
job.
my friend.
You were great.
She wrote a letter to you, and you replied.
All right.
She's here.
So, you know, as we close out, I'm definitely not going to put you on the line regarding who follows you. We all have too many friends involved in that. But I do want to ask you a question about the White House, and it's not whether you're going to do it or not. I personally believe that much about the candidate in a particular election corresponds with timing. And I think that, you know, in 1973, I think that it was absolutely the right time for Coleman Alexander Young to be elected mayor of Detroit. It's what Detroit needed. And I think after 20 years, I think Dennis Archer was what Detroit needed. And you can move forward down the line. I would say the same thing about, you know, Mayor Duggan and about Mayor Sheffield. When we look to the White House and the race in 28, what are the attributes? Experiencing what we're experiencing now, what we experienced in the prior 4 years of this administration, what are the attributes do you think are important for the next leader to lead our country in the world?
Oh man, I think there's going to be a lot of work to do. I do. And, you know, I'll tell you a funny story. Not long ago, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, my dad and I were chatting, and, you know, he said, no, okay, 20 years ago, Dad and I were chatting. He said, you know, you'd have to be a sociopath to run for president. And I thought that was funny at the time. And then about 5 years ago, he said, you know, Gretchen, you might have to run for president. And I said, are you calling me a sociopath, Dad? And he goes, I guess I am. But, you know, one of the things that's been interesting, so there's a lot of governors, a lot of my colleagues who I think are interested in running for president in 2028. And I love my colleagues. I mean, like, they are some of my best friends, and they're all different. They all have different constituencies in their states. Every one of them, I think, could be a really compelling candidate, you know, and everyone gets compared to one another, but we're all different. And that's a good thing. No matter who it is, they are going to need an Avengers style cabinet. Mm-hmm. There is going to be so much work to do to address the issues that we are confronting as a nation, to rebuild our standing in the world, hell, to rebuild a relationship with Canada, right? Mm. Like, seriously, you build trust in teaspoons. You lose it by the bucket. And we all know our economy is intertwined with Canada. We love the Canadians, right? They're the in-laws you like, right? And the way that the relationship between the United States and Canada has been decimated in a matter of months is going to take a long time to earn. And that's just one fraction of the work that needs to be done. Whether it is rebuilding up SNAP programs and addressing healthcare, addressing housing, addressing, you know, costs, pulling us out of, you know, tariff chaos that has ruined relationships and rhetoric that has undermined transatlantic, you know, alliances. There is going to be so much work. And so I say that because we're going to need a leader who is like Abraham Lincoln and team of rivals, who can pull the most talented people they can find, mm-hmm. and articulate and execute a strategy to rebuild nationally, but also to rebuild us globally. And that is no small undertaking. And it is not something that will be done in a matter of months, even though it was undone in a matter of months. It will take a long time, and it will take incredible leadership throughout the government. It can't be one personality with lots of different, you know, supporters. It is going to have to be Avenger-style leadership. And I don't think we've ever seen something of what I've described other than maybe Lincoln, and that was a very different time and very different set of circumstances. But that's the thing that I most liken to what I think we're going to need. And I think everyone can and should be willing to play a role in what that looks like, because it's in all of our interests to do it.
Well, one thing I am sure of is that you will play a role one way or the other, whether you are the leading role, whether you're a co-star or a supporting actress. So we look forward to seeing what's next. And let me just say this, your dad had the opportunity to see you become a star, and I'm sure he's very proud of you.
Thank you.
As are we.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all. So, you know, we usually end at 9. It's 9:20 and people have not gotten out of their seats. So I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. I want to thank you for your service and for you joining us as maybe this is the first stop on your farewell tour. And we look forward to seeing what you accomplish in the balance of your term. And everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Michigan Chronicles Pancakes and Politics. We just heard from Governor Gretchen Whitmer. We have Dave Coulter here, Oakland County Executive. What stands out to you about what you heard today?
You know, what stood out today is what stands out to me every time I hear the governor or talk with her, which is her authenticity. It's a word that gets overused, but what you see is what you get. And I've had private conversations with her. She's exactly the same. She's very real. She has a great way of communicating her ideas and explaining herself. And I think that's what has resonated with so many Michigan voters for the last 8 years. She's the first governor in my lifetime that's more popular leaving office than coming in. That's a hard thing to do. But whether you agree or disagree with her, I think people resonate with her on a sort of a personal level. And I think you saw that this morning.
You know, it's interesting that you said that because I was thinking the same thing. Like just being able to see her relaxed and, just very real, and how she communicates, her humor, her candor, her compassion to some of the questions and some of the answers as well. When you focus right down, though, on Oakland County, what in these final months in office are you hoping to see her do before she leaves for your county?
Yeah, I wish she could run another term, I'll be honest with you, because she's been really helpful to Oakland County, especially in terms of our redevelopment in Pontiac that we're all in on, and a number of other things. You know, she said that one of the things that she wants to concentrate on in this last year is literacy rates. And that's something that's very important in every county, and certainly in Oakland County, and some people don't think that, but we have areas where we could really boost the literacy rate.
Well, you mentioned Pontiac. That's one area.
Pontiac and a lot of the school districts are not doing as well at preparing our kids, and she talked about that today too.
Yeah.
That some of the investments that she's made are going to take a while, but we need to be doing them. And so we've already been talking with her office about, what does that strategy look like, and how can we do it in Oakland County? Because a lot of times we can be the pilot in Oakland County. If we can get it working in Oakland County, sometimes we can move that to other places. So we'll help her with that for sure.
Why is it such a challenge? I mean, education is such an important part of development for our kids, for our communities. Why is it such a challenge?
And I'm saying this as a former teacher. I taught for a couple of years. Because there's no silver bullet. There's a lot of different things that influence a child's ability to learn. The family structure. And we have a lot more single family homes and kinds of issues in the family. Social media, distractions, misinformation. There's a lot of things that impact it, and there's no silver bullet. And so we got to wrap these kids in all sorts of ways with the resources they need, the phones out of the classroom, which I agree that when the governor talked about getting that stuff out of their hands, giving them the support they need. The support that kids need today is different than when I was growing up.
Yeah.
The family structures are different. The communities are different. So we have to meet them where they are and figure that out. And it's not a one size fits all.
Right.
So it's hard, but it's so important, and we got to do it.
Yeah, some things are common from district to district, but some things, certainly when you talk about wraparound services for some families, it's completely unique. I look at some of the models where, there's washing machines in schools and medical clinics that are connected with schools so that communities can get medical care. And that's something I'd never heard of as well growing up.
We have a goal in Oakland County to get kids more educated. So when I started talking to the chancellor at OCC or Oakland University or other places, they said, Mr. Executive, here's what you need to understand. Getting them enrolled isn't the hard part. And even the tuition isn't, because there's a lot, thanks to the governor and others, there's a lot of tuition assistance. But here's what happens. They hit a bump in the road, and they don't have the family support or the resources, and then they drop out for a term, and then they never come back. So we've leaned in on things like helping them with car repair or child care or things that help them stay in their education.
Get their kids to the classroom.
In the old days, a lot more kids had those support systems. So we're going to be those support systems if it'll keep them in school and get them a degree.
So Oakland County right now, I'm sure you're working on a plethora of things for the folks that live and work in the county. Can you focus in on maybe some of the biggest concerns you hear about and how you're addressing it?
Touching on what we just talked about, we've always had this really successful nurse on call line that if you could call if you thought you had a medical issue or some kind of medical question, and we called it the nurse on call, and it was very popular. But now we've understood that people's overall health and well-being is connected to so many more different things. So we now have changed it to Oakland Connect. And when you call this number now, if you need transportation help, if you're homeless, if you have housing issues, or if you're feeling bad and you have a medical issue, you can now call us. We want to be the one-stop shop for what is ever troubling you in your life. Not that we can solve every one of your problems, but we can point you in the direction of things that can help you have overall health and well-being. And that's honestly, in a broad sense, that's what we're trying to do. Meet everybody where they're at with different needs and get them the help they need.
And sometimes just being able to have someone answer and talk to you.
The system's
it does a lot.
Like, who do I call?
You just want to
So
be
in
heard.
Oakland County, there's one number you could call where at least we can point you in the direction of the help that you
Oakland
need.
Connect.
Oakland Connect.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good to know about that. And thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Rhonda, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Oh, welcome back, everybody. We're here at Michigan Chronicles Pancakes and Politics, following hearing Governor Gretchen Whitmer speaking, along with our moderator, Dennis Archer Jr. In the crowd, Executive Vice President and COO of Henry Ford Health System, we have Denise Brooks-Williams. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You guys just have a little bit going on. Every time I drive down the lodge, I watch the development building. That has to be so exciting.
It is so exciting. And to your point, we are in awe as well at how quickly it's going up. Our research building will be done in 2027 and our new hospital in 2029. So very excited.
And what is that going to bring to this community? What is, I mean, it's a new building, of course, but what about when it comes to healthcare and access?
It'll definitely be the hospital itself, right? It's going to be state of the art. So we'll have over 600 private rooms that'll be in that environment between that campus and our old campus. In addition to that, we'll have a new emergency department, new behavioral health space. And so for the community, it's really going to bring state-of-the-art care that we already provide in a beautiful new facility, one that's tech-enabled, and really for the next 100 years, be able to create a wonderful environment for care.
One of the parts of the environment when it comes to healthcare is affording healthcare. As a hospital and a healthcare system, how do you address that?
Yeah, I mean, the affordability is something that everyone is really focused on. The governor has been actually a catalyst in that, around helping us with vulnerable populations, making sure that they're insured and covered. In our world, sometimes it's the setting, right? So having virtual care lowers the cost. Having people go to their primary care and not to the emergency department is something we focus on. That lowers the cost. So I think we really look at where do we deliver care, keeping people healthy makes healthcare affordable.
And let's just talk about the landscape of healthcare as it relates to prevention. And we talk a lot about, not even getting to the point where you have the disease and the illness that then becomes so expensive. What's the focus for Henry Ford on just making our community healthier where we don't need to go to the hospital?
Absolutely. Henry Ford, we're fortunate. We still have a community health division. So a team that does outreach and screening continuously, partnering with churches. We have a faith relationship so that we can go in and help people to be educated and understand what are the signs of illness. Like you said, if you catch things early, you can stop them from progressing. We also focus a lot on diet and nutrition, right? What are we eating? Are we exercising? We have Health Alliance Plan, of course, that's a part of our system. They actually invest a lot in people who are enrolled with them to help them stay healthy. Gym memberships, the ability to have preventive health. So I think we believe we're here to keep people healthy. We treat them, unfortunately, if that's what they need, but a lot more people are aligned with us that are staying healthy and well.
One of the things we've been talking a lot about is vaccinations and measles specifically. I had a conversation with Dr. Bagdasarian just yesterday about cases that are starting to increase locally and nationally. How is Henry Ford in this space of encouraging this safe vaccine?
Absolutely. I mean, we know that in our community, one of the most significant vaccine periods for us was COVID. And so we literally did research studies around vaccine hesitancy and what are some of the things that cause people in the community to be concerned. So what our providers really try to do is provide education. There are absolutely, sometimes risk and reasons that people won't, but our science tells us vaccination works. And so we really just try to be a part of spreading the word, right? What is the benefit? And so with something to your point, like measles, that's really becoming, a disease that we quite honestly thought we had eradicated.
We did.
We
Yeah.
thought we did.
Uh-huh.
So we are helping people to understand that maybe one of the reasons that we're seeing more is the lower vaccine rate and helping them to understand what safe vaccination looks like.
Henry Ford Health is huge when it comes to the community. We have partnered with Go For It, our community service projects that we do every single month. You did talk about, a lot of what you do in the community in terms of preventative care and helping make sure that folks are receiving it and aware of it. Why is it so important to also put dollars behind the funding and the sponsorship support for so many causes too?
Yeah, Henry Ford, we truly see ourselves as a part of the community. We're 50,000 employees spread out through the Southeast Michigan and Southwest Michigan area. And so with that, we know that we do also have a partnership opportunity. So our sponsorship department really tries to align what are organizations that are aligned with our mission and how can we invest. We want to be investors to have healthy, strong communities. We were talking about the future of health earlier, and part of that project also includes affordable housing. It also includes partnering with schools in our neighborhood and other community organizations. So we want to be good neighbors in all the communities where we deliver care.
Something else that's just coming to mind, and hearing from Governor Whitmer and seeing so many women in leadership in this room, a lot of CEOs from a lot of major companies, leadership including yourself. One of the questions that Dennis asked about was getting, how do you encourage younger people to, want to serve? And I think being in healthcare is service as well. Yes. And sometimes we hear about, well, we need more nurses, we need more people to get into the profession, and rise the ranks in the profession, because that's kind of what you did.
Yeah, I absolutely had the privilege, ironically, yesterday to talk to 5 young aspiring healthcare executives yesterday.
Wow.
They are at the University of Michigan. And so I do a lot of outreach with the school. I take capstone teams. And these young women were saying exactly the same thing, like, oh my God, we're so inspired. And how did you do what you did? And I told them a lot of it was other women pouring into me. So I think I would agree with the governor that part of it is inspiring young people to serve. Healthcare is definitely a servant job, whether you're in administration like I am, certainly if you're a nurse or a physician. So we do a lot of outreach. We bring young people into the organization at all phases of their development. We want them to pick Henry Ford Health, of course. We're a little bit biased.
You're like, I'm here now. Don't go anywhere
That's
else.
That's right. I'm like, you want to come to us. But seriously, we want people to know that this is a profession that needs them. As I said, it's taking 50,000 amazing Michiganders to deliver care within our health system. And we need to replenish that, right? So we definitely partner with many schools, from middle all the way up to professional, to make sure that people are aware of how they can have a wonderful career in healthcare. And in particular, women, we are uniquely a profession that's always been 50% or more women, just because of nurses and some of the professions that, women have dominated.
Are you seeing women more in the C-suite now? I mean, we are getting an announcement in here. I thought maybe I should listen to that. But are you seeing it more and more now? Is it becoming more common?
You know what? I actually feel like it is. Certainly, I mean, I've been in the profession now for 30 years, and so 30 plus actually. And so it's definitely way more than when I started. We are, again, at Henry Ford, we're 50-50 in terms of having women in our C-suite. So I definitely think you're seeing it more.
Well, we like the balance.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, Denise, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. Thank you for your leadership and, of course, your partnership with Channel 4 as well.
Absolutely.
We love
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Where are we going next? All right, we're going to take a break, and maybe I can find somebody else in the audience to chat with. Thank you, Denise. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're here at Michigan Chronicles Pancakes and Politics. I was able to pull away the moderator, Dennis Archer Jr. You just had a great conversation with Governor Whitmer. I love how you started it, where you just call her G. I thought Big
I've been
Gretch
calling her G for a while.
or G. In all the comments, she is a G.
She is a G.
When just hearing all of the feedback, what stands out to you about the conversation?
I think first and foremost, the fact that you were kind of rooting for the Michigan Wolverines stood out.
The viewers now didn't hear that part. No, I'm kidding.
But in seriousness, I just think that she is she's able to be very reflective, remain very positive, and still look towards the future. A lot of leaders, when they're entering the last several months of an 8-year term, they start to take their feet off the pedal. They slow down a little bit. They're already thinking towards her next step. And she will not allow herself to get there. She realizes there's a lot of work that still needs to be done in areas like affordable housing, education. I'm sure she wants to fix as many as the damn roads that are left to fix while she's still in office.
They're at it right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I thought it was a phenomenal conversation.
And just Michigan Chronicle, Pancakes and Politics overall, you've been doing this for so many years.
Yeah.
What is the impact of this event when everybody leaves?
I think people feel a certain cause of action, a call to action. I think we talked about at one point during the conversation the importance of recruiting younger people to be interested in and get involved to run for office. I think the other thing that's important about this event is that while the people on stage and in the audience are reflective of the general community, we don't forget that this is a Black newspaper started by Black folks for Black folks. And while that has evolved, that's always a foundation to our discussions. And so folks like the governor embrace that conversation. They understand that foundation of the conversation and they embrace it. And that comes out very real as it did today on the stage. And so I applaud the Chronicle for continuing to have that voice in our community.
Let's talk about what's happening in Detroit. You are an investor in the city, a business owner. What are you most excited about right now in the city?
I think that the momentum continues. I think that there are a couple of things that have happened in the past several years that gave people maybe a little pause, wondering, whether the momentum that we've had for the past 10 plus years would continue. I think that when Dan Gilbert fell ill, for example, people wondered, was his commitment going to continue? He's done nothing but double down.
Mm-hmm.
People wondered, Mayor Duggan has done such an outstanding job as mayor. Will the next mayor be able to keep that momentum going? And I think in the first 3 months of being in office, I think Mayor Sheffield has showcased the fact that she will do that plus some. And so I'm just very excited about the momentum continuing for Detroit.
We are going to see a change in Lansing. We'll have new leadership in the next election. You talked about the right person at the right time, reflecting on the years that your father was mayor of the city of Detroit. But you shied away from mentioning any names about who's running.
I wasn't going to put her on the spot.
But I think you felt the same way because a lot of these leaders are people that you've developed relationships with.
Yeah, I would say in this particular moment, we are very lucky as Michiganders. And you're going to think this is a political answer, but it's true. Are very lucky to have several candidates across both parties and an independent, all of whom would do an outstanding job. So I think as each of us research the platforms of the candidates, look at their history and their roles prior to running for governor, we have to independently make a decision around what we think is best. And what's important to you may not be what's important to me. It may not be is what's important to Jay. And so we all have to dig down inside and say, what do we want out of our Michigan? What's important, and which one of these candidates is best suited to deliver that state of Michigan?
Your dad was our mayor for many, many years. When you reflect on his leadership, because sometimes when you're mayor, you're working on things and then the outcome happens years later.
Right.
What are some of those things that you have memories of that you're really proud of that your dad accomplished?
It's very interesting because were my mother here, she would jump all over this conversation because she gets very upset when people act like Detroit's resurgence just recently started. She points to the fact that my father did a number of groundbreaking things in his term. I mean, the stadium's coming downtown, General Motors moving its headquarters downtown, CompuWare coming downtown, 3 casinos, balanced budgets. And so a lot was done that was foundational. He didn't do it all. And so there's additional credit to be given to each of the mayors that followed him. But I think that sitting down with Gretchen and here today having that conversation about the impact that Dick Whitmer had decades ago, which are still affecting Detroit today. I think all of us should take history lessons in our communities and realize whatever the conditions that exist now, there are people that came before that contributed to the success and the existence of those conditions today.
Absolutely. Well, Dennis, thank you so much. You are a phenomenal moderator. I always look forward to
I take notes from you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And that's going to wrap things up from here at Pancakes and Politics. Do you know who you're going to have next month?
We can't tell.
Oh, we
Stay
don't tell.
tuned.
Oh, okay.
Jay wouldn't let me say.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thank you.